When you're looking to work with the top 1% and you're planning to charge them a retainer in the multiple tens of thousands, and for them to not even think about it, and it's because it's not a big part of their income, right? When you're looking at such a class, you cannot be simply putting out Lambos and renting out these Porsches and things like that, right? They're going to laugh, they're going to think it's cute, right? So today we're going to discuss how do you actually market and make content to attract the affluent and the higher classes, right? We are looking at the top 1% of earners in the United States, UK, India, whatever it is, right? How do you actually market to them? What do they care about? How do we angle and position our content so that they find us and they reach out to us, right? So let me give you a fun fact about every single influencer that you see online, right? We are going to break this down in detail and you're going to be so shocked. So when you look at this guy, Iman Katsi, great content creator, amazing cars, right? Who do you think these cars attract? Now let's talk about Jordan Welch. What do you think these two have in common? Now let's look at Shelby Sapp. What do you think these three have in common? Great cars, right? And what do you think TJR has in common with all of them? What they all have in common is all of them are looking to attract broke followers. All of them are looking to attract, quite frequently, broke audience. Most of their audience are students, are people that are just working a regular job, that are getting paid less than $100,000 a year, right? And they're going to take probably $3,000 or $4,000 for one-time payment, and they're going to call it a day, and they're going to do that probably over 2,000 times in a span of 2 or 3 years, right? So that is the playbook. This is who that's designed to attract. But what if you want to close the $10,000 a month deals? We're talking about a month here, right? Who are the people that are going to afford this, and how do we position our content so that they find us inbound? Today's video is going to be discussing that, right? So showing a Lamborghini in your content attracts broke followers, because quite frankly the top 0.001% of earners are gonna laugh when you show a Lamborghini, because the top 1% is $400,000 a year in the US, right? When we are looking at the top 0.001% that can afford yachts, that can buy a Lamborghini every single week, it wouldn't even make a dent on their income. They don't care about you driving a Lamborghini, because they're going to be like, that's cute, I don't care. I've seen this a million times in my life, right? My parking lot has a dozen Lamborghinis and never cared to buy one, right? So those are the type of people we are looking to attract through our content. And honestly, the mechanisms to attract these people are completely different. If you want to charge them monthly huge retainers, you need to know how to position yourself. So how do we make content for the wealthy and the affluent? We're going to break this down in details with a step-by-step process, right? We're going to essentially bring all our knowledge into how to break into these networks and actually attract them into this piece of content, right? Our pieces of content, basically, right? Now, when we're looking at the top 0.001%, we are looking at a few things to do, and these are those, right? Firstly, language signals perception. These people are never saying program and things like that. They're saying membership, clubs. These are the language that we're talking about. How you say what you say matters, because it shapes perception, right? If you're looking to work with luxury real estate, these kind of companies, huge private equity companies, you are simply going to use the language that attracts them. You simply cannot be making content like everybody else, sounding like everybody else, and expect to get the top 1% of earners look at you different, right? So we need to strategically actually make changes to the languages that we're using in our content to attract the affluent, right? That is how you do it. not the Porsches, not the Lamborghinis, because that's going to attract the broke followers, right? If you really want to make content for the wealthy and the affluent, start by polishing your language, start by working on your perception, because this is one of the biggest things that I have pulled that was able to make me work with the top 0.001% of earners, right? So the next thing is understanding who you're selling to, right? If you're selling to someone that has lesser income than you, you can show off your lifestyle, right? You can show off your lifestyle. But then if you're working with someone that has more income than you, then you can't, right? Because those people do not care about your lifestyle and what you do. They care about what you can do for them, right? The billionaire doesn't want to see that you go for your morning yoga and all these different things, but the broke followers do. They want to see all those things because they want to feel inspired. The billionaire has enough inspiration in his life, right? They don't want to see all that stuff. They want to see that you know what the fuck you're talking about. So if you solve back pain for billionaires, right? They want to see you doing it for other billionaires. They want to see that you know what the fuck you're talking about, quite simply. And if you fail to paint this perception and you start selling them your lifestyle, you're going to attract broke followers, right? The next thing to do is to stop leading with what you do and selling a lifestyle and putting your products front and its features and all those things, right? We always want to lead our content with explaining what pain we are solving, right? We never want to lead with this is what I do, right? I do massages for billionaires. That's leading with what we do. We don't want to do that, right? Because they don't care about that. We want to explain the pain that we're solving. I solve back pain and related issues for billionaires, right? That is now solving what it looks like for them, right? We are taking away features out of the equation and we are making it more about them, and that's what we want to do, right? So in your content, if you can audit it to understand who we are actually trying to reach through this content and how they currently perceive us and what we are leading with, if you can just have a minor audit, it's gold for attracting. So even if you are pulling, let's just say 10,000 views or 1,000 views, it's going to be 10,000 or 1,000 of the right kind of views, and you're not going to be wasting time with broke followers who are probably not even going to pay you $1,000, and even if they do, they're going to make your life a living hell because they can't afford it. A big percentage of their income is $1,000, but when we're looking at the top 0.0001% of earners, $1,000 is nothing. That's what they spent on dinner, right? So that's what I'm trying to say. So if you're talking about what kind of content you should make to market to the rich and affluent, right, the top 0.001% of earners, this is what you need to do. 50% of the content is positioning around what they are currently doing wrong, right? Most people give away too much value that their information loses essence, right? Their audience thinks that they don't need this person's services because everything's out there already. So 50% of the content should be speaking about what they are currently doing wrong, right? That is 50%. 40% of the content should be about what they should be doing, right? This is where you can give your lists, your step-by-steps, all those things, right? And 10% should be you doing the work so that they know that you're the man for the job, right? This is selling yourself here. This is how you sell yourself, not the lifestyle, right? They don't care about the proof. Don't show them the Lambos, none of that stuff. Show them your work. They'll be way more impressed. 40% of what they should do, 50% of what they're currently doing wrong, right? This is attracting 0.001% of earners. We're not talking about broke followers here. Now, the next thing is pretty obvious, which is never paint a lifestyle. When you're trying to attract the affluent, you're never painting a lifestyle or anything of that sort, because it'll turn them off, quite frankly, right? When you look at these people, Iman Ghazi, Shelby Sapp, TJR, they're all painting a lifestyle to attract broke audiences, right? All these guys have one thing in common, which is that they only work with broke audiences. If you are looking to attract the affluent and you're trying to work with these people who will pay you $8,000, $7,000 a month without even caring about it, because it makes no difference to their bank account, they just want to see the results. You don't show them Lamborghinis, you show them your work, you tell them what they're doing wrong, and you paint the picture that you are the man for the job, right? But you can't do that with broke followers. They're going to be like, hey, listen, where's your Porsche? Where's your Lamborghini, right? That's how you attract these broke followers, which is great to them. They've made millions using that. But what I'm trying to say is this: always sell them your expertise to solve a pain. That is basically what you're doing, right? Next is be specific to who you're talking to. If you're working with luxury realtors who are making above, let's just say, $4 million a year, right? Be specific that you're talking to them. It's not everybody has to go wide, right? Not everybody has to go to attract the millions of subscribers and followers. That only grows your ego. But you want to be specific with who you're talking to, so that even the thousands, if not a few thousand luxury realtors making that money would be able to find you, because the algorithms have gotten so good that you are able to find them through content. And the last one is never get salesy. You never want to sell on your features, benefits, like everybody tells you. You never want to pretty much tell them directly that you're the man for the job. You need to signal perception. This is how to attract the affluent, right? You're not trying to get salesy with them. You're letting them form a perception through your content, letting them come to you, and you're not showing them a Lamborghini, none of that stuff. You're not going to speak about what you do. You're just going to tell them about what they're currently doing wrong, what they should be doing 40% of the time, and 10% of the time is you doing the work so that they know you're credible. Where if you're marketing for broke followers, you would not be, your credibility doesn't come from doing the work. They don't care about that, right? Broke followers care about, oh, does he have a Lamborghini? Oh, wow, that's amazing. Great. This guy looks amazing. Let's buy his course. But the affluent do not care about that. They can buy a Lamborghini every single week. It does not affect their life in any way, right? They care about, is this guy good at what he does? Has he worked with similar people similar to me? If they have, then great, let's work with them. That's what they're thinking. Now, a few quick takeaways for everybody at home, right? If you're making any kind of content for your business, you need to take these things away so that you can pretty much implement it the best way you can, right? So now what we're looking to do is look at your current content and audit perception, right? Does it solve the question of what pain am I getting to solve, right? We want to lead with the pain that they have, because the human mind is more receptive to negatives than positives, right? We want to lead with the pain. Then, does it solve the question of, am I the man or woman to solve this, right? And how are we able to do that through our work and not painting a picture or a lifestyle? Then, does it solve the question of, am I selling features or an emotional outcome, right? So when people are buying a luxury property, they're not buying it because it has XYZ square feet and it's placed in this amazing location. No. They're buying the emotional outcome that when they were 14 or 15, they saw this one property somewhere out there while they were walking and they couldn't even afford a car, and now they're here buying it. That's the emotional outcome. So if you can find it for your ICP of the affluent and you're able to find that, you need to hit them with this question while you're making content, right? So this is another thing. So you need to divide your content into 50% of what they're currently doing wrong, right? This is really important. Now let me give you an example for all of these things and then close this off, right? So 40% of this is what they should be doing differently, and 10% of it should be you doing it to sell your own expertise, right? So let's just say there's this guy Sam, hypothetical name, and he is I'm not able to get an example, but let's just take that he cuts hair for billionaires or multimillionaires, only people making over 20 mil a year and above, right? He does not work with anyone below that. He cuts hair. Now, what he should be talking about is that instead of the usual content about, like, this is what I do, I cut hair, I've worked with these many people and things like that, he's not going to be talking about that, because that will be attracting the broke people that cannot afford him. This guy is planning to charge $2,000 per haircut, right? Per haircut for these multi-millionaires, $2,000, right? That's a lot for a haircut because the same hair that we're cutting. So 50% of it should be about what they're currently doing wrong. So if I was to think at the top of my head, it is that when you're marketing to millionaires, what are these millionaires doing? They're going to meetings, they're going to important places, they're going to these huge conferences. So when we can link that with the haircut, 50% of it should be telling them what they're doing wrong. So it could be that, hey, listen, you might have all these amazing achievements, but people don't see that before they see your face and the way you are. You like it or not, that's the case. So why aren't you as sharp as possible every 2 weeks, right? Why do you have to cut hair every 4 weeks? Why do you not have to cut it every 2 weeks? That's the first kind of content that you're making, right? 50% of it is telling them what they're doing wrong. You can think of a billion different examples on how to tell them what they're doing wrong, because the mind is better at coming up with negatives than positives. 40% of it should be telling them what they should do differently. So here's where you would sell them that, hey, listen, this specific type of haircut makes you look this way. If you are a millionaire in the luxury real estate category, this is what you would look like, so that your clients come and form perception of you like this. This type of haircut makes your clients think of you this way. So we are always talking in their language, right? So this would be 40% of it. 10% of it would be something casual. It would be probably you working with your own clients that are multimillionaires, Sam's own clients, multimillionaires. Probably he's just casually interviewing them that, hey, listen, I cut hair for millionaires, as you know. So what do you do and how do you do it, right? And those millionaires are talking and they're attracting other millionaires, because that's now credibility. This is how you market and make content for the affluent and not for broke people, right? Now the last one is positioning, right? So we need to answer two big questions. How would my life look like with you in it? Second, what am I looking to solve as a result of working with you? These are the two big questions we're looking to solve. And if your content cannot do this, you're going to always attract broke followers, right? If you do not figure this thing out, you're going to attract the broke followers who are going to, you're not even going to be able to charge them $1,000 without them crying and complaining that this wasn't worth it, because they're going to expect all the great things in the world, which you're not going to be able to give them the resources for. Because how would you ever have the resources if they are not giving you the resources enough for you to structure the back end? Because they're going to make your life a living hell, even for the $1,000. But if you want to market to the people that don't even think to pay you $10,000 a month, recurring for years on end, this is how you market to them, through content, so that